I've already cut my ribbing, so please take a look online if you forget how to cut your ribbing and what sizes, and review that before you do so. We always want to make sure that the stretchy part is going to go around our bodies or our wrists and our waist. So I'm going to sew those together, good sides together. Again with a narrow zigzag. Now it says to fold the circle band wrong sides together. So where I've sewn, that's my wrong side. I'm going to open up my seam and I'm going to bring one cut edge to the other cut edge and flip it around. And again, look at the samples that we did earlier in class. Line up all of your raw edges. So you've got 2 raw edges here. Okay. And then repeat on the other side. And now we're ready to put it into our sweatshirt. So I'm going to fold it the wrong way around again. So here it says I'm going to place the ribbing inside the sleeve with the folded edge, which is this edge, away from the sleeve opening. So I'm going to be sticking this part, the folded edge, and I'm going to stick it all the way inside so I don't see the folded edge. Now I'm going to line up my seam with my side seam of my sleeve. You're going to pin that one there. Then you're going to kind of take it, find that center point, and you're going to stretch it to make it fit. And you're going to pin the opposite side. How you know that your ribbing is the right size is you want your sweatshirt to have these little fold lines, because that's going to go away. Your ribbing is going to bring the opening in closer, and that's what the idea of ribbing is. And I'm going to stretch as I sew, and if you need to stretch from the other side as well, you can. So if you pull it out, you'll see the folded edge here and your seam along here. The next step is optional, and that's to top stitch. And the only reason why you'd want to top stitch is to get this all the way pressed down and held in place. So what I'm looking for is that your seams are lined up, that everything is caught within it, so that you've caught both of your ribbing as well as your sweatshirt. When I top stitch, again, I'm going to start by the seam because no one's going to see it. This part's going to be a little bit difficult, so raise your presser foot up just that little bit higher, and you're probably going to have to hand wheel. I'm going to use the edge of my presser foot along my seam, and I'm going to stick my 2 fingers underneath here, and I'm pushing my seam allowance away. So now for the bottom ribbing. You're going to repeat number 1 and 2 from the sleeve ribbing. Now it says to mark our center front and the center back of our sweatshirt on the wrong side. Mark the side seams, center front and back of the ribbing on the unfolded edge. So we want to be marking it here. So I've got my one side seam. How to find the opposite side seam is to fold it directly in half like this. So the other side of the side seam is going to be here. I'm going to mark it, and I'm also going to pin it. And the reason why I want to pin it is so that I can keep my edges nice and even. And I'm going to mark both sides of it because it depends on how we put it in. We want to be able to see where that needs to line up. Now I need to mark my center front and my center back. I'm going to take my 2 side seams and I'm going to join those up. I'm going to pull up my ribbing, and right here is either my center front or center back. Again, marking both sides, pinning it. So now I've got my two side seams, my center front and my center back. Now I need to do the same to my sweatshirt. Well, we've already marked our center front with our pocket, so that's good. And again, do it on the other side. Our side seams are already marked. And now we just need to mark our center back. And how you find that is, again, you're going to put your side seams to side seams. And where it folds is your center back. So you can see there's my center front and my center back is absolutely directly opposite that. And I'm going to mark the wrong side. So I'm going to start with my side seam. You want it to match the sleeve so that this seam here is not going to be twisted. And I'm lining up my seam of my sweatshirt with the seam of my ribbing. Good sides together. Now I'm going to take the other side seam and line it up with the other one. Again, making sure that my seam allowance is in the same direction as where my cuff is. Now I'm going to pin my center front mark with my center of my ribbing, my center back with my center back. Now that I have these four pinned, there should be a huge gap in between here. Now I can stretch and make the rest fit. And this is probably where you're going to want a partner to hold it while you pin. So while you're pinning it, you want to again make sure you've got both of your ribbings and it's lining up with your fabric. The way you know that you've pinned your ribbing in correctly is there should be even amount of fold in between each of the pins. What we don't want to see is that one side is completely straight and the other side is really bunched up. Your ribbing's not going to sew in nicely and it's not going to sit well. Here's my ribbing, and I'm going to flip it the right way around. Your very last step is optional. And again, that's to top stitch your ribbing. And this time, again, we're going to put the seam allowance upwards.